Yeah, sure, with pleasure. So Comportance, it was like I invented it based on my experience working with different founders, with different startups, with different products. And I see that sometimes people focus on one part of the process and not thinking too much about other ones. So like, when people apply in Agile, they're usually more about the iteration and like, the continuous delivery, but they are not thinking too much about, I don't know, why they are doing this and what they're trying to achieve at the very end. So they are too iterative. What I see also, like in a lot of cases, the behavioral component, so the gamification motivation component is very often missed. So people
Not
rarely think,
non-existing most of the time,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, the
yeah. So
function is
that,
there. They can do it, so
yeah,
they will do it.
yeah, exactly. And that's the question that a lot of founders, they are stopping and think, okay, how do we want our users to feel when they're using our app? We don't know. They want to be able to solve their problem, but you can do it in a very different way. So we start like in the Comportance, we start with the like 7 questions. So we start with the goal. So that's also a question that not always people know the answer to. Say what we are trying to achieve. So what it's usually either what problem we are trying to solve or what we want to improve, what situation we want to improve. And
And I'm
that's
guessing that oftentimes they think they have the answer very clear, and then they start explaining it, and they have no idea what they really want.
exactly. Yeah. And without goal, you can move to very different directions. So that's like a very strategic part. Then it's the question, so how it looks like. So measurable result that we are trying to achieve. So what moment of time, how do we know if we reached the goal or not? And it should be like, possible to say at any particular moment of time. So that's why I try to bring it to some measurable, like, basically smart goal set up. So it's like, it should be achievable, it should be measurable, it should be uh, of everything. So that you can
Specific,
like,
relevant, and timely. Yes.
yeah. So you're having this goal, and then the next question is, and what is the current baseline? So what are your current metrics? And that's surprising enough. Another point that very often people do not have answer to, that's because they are not measuring enough of data. And that's like, thing that I'm 100% like, pushing all the time, that we need to measure as much data as possible. And so our decisions should be as data driven as possible. So log all the user activities, analyze it regularly, even if probably at the moment you are not going to analyze it, collect it anyway, because you will be at the moment when you want to analyze it and you want to know what is happening and to where, because that's always when it comes to engagement, when it comes to like user behavior, it's not like 1 or 0, they are doing it or not, because catching the exact moment when they are like drop off, or when they struggle, when they spend more time that like we want them to do. So probably, and tweaking each of those, like the more the smaller you can do this like measurement and the point of identifying the problem, the better. So that's for the data. We need to measure, we need to understand what we want to achieve and what is our current level, where are we now. And then it comes to the emotion. So how we want users to feel when they are using our app, what emotional and motivational drives we want to trigger to get them to do the actions that we want. What is like, and it affects a lot from like, when we understand, the positioning of like how we and our product is going to be received by users. So who we are, in this, let's say, role play. Are we like a strict coach, or are we like a friend who are giving advice, or are we an expert who is sharing the knowledge, or we are the teacher, or a lot of possible, like, this positioning, and it's applied to all the language we use, all the like, even the colors, the tone, and all other things. So that's very important. That's here where Octalysis and more the gamification techniques come in place. The next part is, let's make a hypothesis, and usually that depends on the process where we're applying this. If it's the new product, so that will be like maybe main functionality. So what is like valuable for users, because that's another thing that founders, especially like, the first time founders, they have a tendency to bring too many ideas, like, so application will solve all the problems at once, but to make like one hypothesis like main. So at first our application will be using this problem. If it goes well, we will obviously add new functionality, but focus on something like smaller. So if it's possible to have one hypothesis, is the best. And then the next step is like minimum validation. So that's more or less an MVP approach. So how we can still bring this value, but make it as fast as possible and as simple as possible, and see if the app actually, if our users behave in app as we expect them, and if it's valuable, and so the iteration. And then the cadence. Cadence is like when we start, when we measure if our hypothesis is working or not, how we measure it, and how we decide if it's okay, we need to tweak, or no, it was like a wrong one and we need to iterate again. So that's actually like a little iteration to the measuring the current results, how far they are from goal, are we moving in the right direction, and repeat, this cycle. So that's a Comportance framework, trying to combine everything into one like more consistent and organized approach.